couldn't just project the movie onto the curtains. You have to open it up and have the proper screen for you to project the picture onto to get the full effect. Well, to get the full effect of a hologram, especially the type of hologram that they want to project and the type of protocol they want for a specific mission called Operation Bluebeam, what you find is when you look up for the specs on holograms, you find that barium is one of the key mixtures necessary for it to take place, and radioactivity. Well, where do we see these two components now, and how is it that these two components have now become accessible as well as saturating our environment? Well, the barium is one of the primary mixtures in your, guess what, family? In your chemtrails. You are saturating your with barium. Then, all of a sudden, Fukushima blows up. And the entire atmosphere is now saturated with radioactivity. Now we're going to be seeing all kinds of spaceships. But are they real or are they Memorex? This is the game that the government, who is using their own forms of technology to circumvent the real interface with those who are off in the Galactic Confederation. This is the kind of thing that we have to be mindful of, and this is how we have to be clear in our minds. They want to poison and kill at least 4 billion people from this planet. They want to wipe people out because they have a whole new utopic new world order that is in place. You saw what Obama did when he signed this new National Defense Act. This is nothing more than a CEO of a corporation, which is called the United States. He is now upgrading the 1863 War Powers Act that Lincoln put into place when the Civil War was being prosecuted. Lincoln put that into place because the whole of the Congress went sine die. That sine die means that there is without a day. In other words, every state that was part of the Constitution didn't have a date to adjourn, therefore there was no more government. This is why he put the War Powers Act in order to be able to maintain the Union, since the South had seceded from the Union. So that act has never, ever been rescinded. And every president since then has been using that to create a dictatorial relationship with all the corporations, which is what we're getting ready to turn into. There's going to be this force and this fight between communistic socialism and corporate fascism, which is going to be what we're going to see between Ron Paul, which is corporate, which is kind of a fundamental Republican fascism, versus a communistic socialism, which is what we're going to be feeling with Obama.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Oh, wow. So the chemtrail is the barium and the radioactive. So when they project the aliens, the spaceship,
right? Exactly.
Wow.
So what you're looking at right now is a concentricity or kind of a synchronicity and a convergence of how they're playing the game and getting us ready for this 2012. Because remember, we're dealing with apocalyptic madmen. And they believe that the only way for their savior, which essentially is just their own bloodletting religious form of, their God is about a blood God. It's about sacrificing children, Moloch. You see, the owl is their God. So what you're looking at is every sign that all of these companies, if you look at other companies, well, it is a company, all of the countries, if you noticed, all of the countries that are the industrial supergiants, all of them have predators as their symbols. So you have, what is the symbol of the United States?
The eagle.
Right. What was the symbol of Nazi Germany? The eagle. What was the symbol of South Africa? the eagle. So what is the other symbols of another? What was the symbol of the British? The lion. Remember, when you're dealing with a predator, you're not dealing with someone who is a provider, one who promotes life. You're dealing with an opportunist that parasites off of life. Now, no matter how beautiful and bold the lion looks, or no matter how beautiful and wonderful the eagle looks in its majesty, it's a parasite. It lives off of others. If there is nothing for it to parasite or to predate, it predates on itself. Whereas our ancestors, the ancient Kemites, one of our main and most powerful symbol was the humble honeybee. Why? Because the honeybee provides not only for itself when it goes from flower to flower, but it provides for the rest of all the life forms that eat the foods that it provides for everybody by doing what it does. So there's a difference between a provider and a parasite. And we are under the auspices of a predacious parasite who takes what he wants based on opportunism. That's what capitalism is. So the whole mentality is what needs. This is an entire mentality that has grown over the last, I would say, 1,500 years since the Catholic Church began to write the Intercateras that told the kings of Europe that they could go ahead and rape, pillage, and rob in the name of Jesus Christ.
Wow. That's deep, Dr. Phil. Now, someone in the chat room is saying that it seems like time is speeding up. So if it is, I mean, do we speed up or do we do the opposite?
That's interesting. Time is an element. Okay? Mm-hmm. Time is the provider of all of what we see as physical life. All life has stages of expression. It goes from time, space. Let me see. There's time, space, sound, light, fire, air, fire, water, and earth. These are the principles of how time folds itself into being. Time is an element. It's what sets the precedent for life to become on the material realm. Without time, there is no material expression of life. All material expression of life lives based upon a time signature that time provides for it to exist. So time seems to be speeding up only because your consciousness is stuck in the old paradigm that essentially makes you believe that the body that you have and the sensual expressions that it gives you, the lust it has, the hungers, the different types of thirsts and all this is what makes you believe that time is speeding up. It's because your mind is not keeping up with the consciousness dictates that is supposed to be happening. Time seems to be speeding up only to those who are not interfaced with the time that the universe is in. Right now, the kind of food you're eating, the kind of things that you're thinking about, the kind of temporal, very low energy material gain and fear keeps you believing that time is outpacing you. That's because your body is living in retrograde time.
And speaking of time, I know they talk about the Mayan calendar 2012, but also the parasites have messed with time. They changed the clocks and the calendars. So how do we know if we're, right on target?
But you see, again, whatever time, the Gregorian calendar is based upon a slave maintenance paradigm. The Gregorian calendar essentially is based upon commerce. It's based upon the Europeans' consciousness structure. Our time, we had like 4 or 5 different calendars. And the long count calendar, the short count calendar, our calendars were based upon growing. Our calendars were based upon building a house. Our calendars were based upon specific time frame references with which, how do you build a house and where do you position the furniture and so forth. We had different calendars for every part of our lives. That's because the European keeps us in this one calendar that we have. For us to deal without that is to not use the calendar as our main reference for time. You have to get inside of yourself. What we teach is you have to become more knowledgeable of the time that the universe has set within you. Your clock is running on universal time inside of you, in your genetics. But they have you preoccupied with the time that they have now orchestrated based upon them getting you addicted to their time cycles. When you have to have your coffee in the morning, when you got to get up to go to work, when you got to go to sleep, when you watch football, when you have sex. All of these are time references that they've placed on you. You have to examine from the time your foot hits the floor in the morning to the time you pick it back up to go back to bed at night. What have you done in that day that belonged to you? What time frame reference belonged to you?
And someone also is saying in the chat room that that we are multidimensional, that we can be in different dimensions and time at the same time.
Yes, that's true. But guess what? How do you access the next vibratory frequency of yourself to the next? You can't. We are multidimensional entities. All living forms are living on different dimensions. In fact, you are nothing more than a projection from one dimension into this dimension. So what it is that you are a multidimensional creature, but again, you're in lockdown. Just imagine that you are in a jail cell. And what we see as white light on the present spectrum, and the spin particle and the spin dynamics of the atom and the particle on this level, just imagine what light is. You know what white light really is, right? You can tell me what white light really is. It's broken down into 7 colors. Well, just imagine that those 7 colors are actually the bars of your prison. And that you only see within that spectrum of consciousness. And that therefore you have to now resonate all the elements in your body, all the particles, all of the atoms have to spin at a faster rate. And they can't spin at a faster rate if you're over there chomping down McDonald's or you sucking down all kind of crap into your system. Every time you eat filth and garbage, you slow the rate of your dynamics. You slow the rate of your atomic and particle spin. And therefore, the more you slow that down, the lower your consciousness is, and you're never going to get into your multidimensionality. It's when you're purifying, when you're cleansing and you're eating the right foods, and you're in a higher frame of mind that you begin to pick up any kind of reference to your multidimensionality. That's why people who are addicted to crack and drugs, who have very high Neptune in their astrological signs, like Pisces, these people are perfect candidates for addiction because they have this high quality energy, that Neptunian energy that wants them to see psychic things, and because they don't know how to reference it, their subconscious wants them to escape the body to actually interface with who they are, so they get easily hooked on drugs.
Wow. Now, someone else is asking, well, they're saying that we are seeing that the parasites are organized. Is there an opposition leader or group to fend them off?
I will not talk about that on this phone.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, but now you're saying that individually we can get out of this prison. You just broke that down for us.
Yes. It has to be something that you come to clarity with. There is an inventory that we must all do for ourselves. There is an inventory that we must take that will reveal to us just how bogged down we are in the illusion that they have created. And to do that, it takes a little while. But with perseverance, with continued dedication or livocation towards that, you become more and more aware of who you are essentially. There is an essential self, and then there is this superficial self. You have been preoccupied. You have paid all your attention to the superficial self. You have fed the superficial self. You have aggrandized and entertained the superficial self all your life, because that's exactly what they want you to do. They want you to be more entertained and entertained about who you are. So your superficial self is all you know. The essential self has gone untapped. It has disconnected. And when you get back to understanding and understanding the essential self, then it begins. Otherwise, just telling you certain things like this, I can't tell you this within an hour like this. I can't tell you what to do in an hour. Each person is individual. I can give you an overview, but then it doesn't make sense, because then we're dealing with what I call fast food. You know, it's like you want to get something to eat, let's go ahead and pass by the window and grab a Mickey D burger. That's the same kind of mentality that's got us so superficial today.
Mm-hmm. And some of these things are what you are teaching at your school.
Exactly. What we teach about now is, you see, metaphysics. Most people, back when I was 35 years ago, when I began teaching it and hardly anybody was into it, they thought it was just a bunch of hoodoo and this and that, and it was not. Metaphysics is a new language, a relanguaging. It's like Ibanicizing, or taking knowledge and giving knowledge a whole new diagram of words. What you have been taught to describe is the material effects of your society and your life. So everything you have around you right now and everything you perceive of around you is the effects. What we do at our school is teach you the cause, because the cause is invisible. It's only the effects that are visible. So everything in your life right now is an effect. It's the result of something. But most people are caught up in looking at the effects. Just like you are caught up when you get sick, your doctor is caught up in the effects, which is not the cause. And he gives you drugs to deal with the effects, which never takes care of the cause. But your whole life is like that. Our whole life is like that. It's a preoccupation with effects, and what we teach at our school is how to recognize the cause, how to re-envision, but how to access the invisible realm and define the invisible realm, give it a substantiality, flesh it out so that you can now see that there is always something behind the curtain, the wizard behind the curtain that's actually creating the effects. And that's what we do. We part the curtain, or we lift the veil of Isis to show you how these effects come about.
I'm going to go to the telephone lines, and if you want to talk to Dr. Phil Valentine, the number is 347-215-8041. 347-215-8041. Area code 347. You have a question or comment for Dr. Phil Valentine? Area code 347.
Hello, good night.
Yes.
Hi, good night.
We hear
night.
you.
Hello.
Yes, we hear you.
Okay. Good night. Blessings to both of you. I just want to ask Dr. Valentine a question. Since most of us, so I can speak for myself, is behind on my diet, is there another way I can circumvent this? Like if I get into the practice of voodoo or some other spiritual practice, would that help me to defeat this beast and in this way ascend and, get out of this program since I'm behind on my diet?
Well, to be behind on the diet is simply a choice. All things are based on choice.
Mm-hmm.
What I would suggest is that you can call us at the 800 number if you wish to join one of our programs. We don't just teach at the University of Metaphysics. I am also, as our sister said to you earlier, I am a doctor of naturopathic medicine, as is my wife, Dr. Nalani. As a matter of fact, my first thing before I was a metaphysician is that I was a doctor. I am a doctor. So we put people on specific programs, help them, with their dietary challenges. We don't call it diseases. We call it challenges. And if you have a challenge with weight, or if you have a challenge with eating, or if you have a challenge with cancer, we teach people how to heal themselves. We empower people. There are different stages to our programs. One is 2 weeks, another is 4 weeks. And you actually are rendering your donations for the time that you be with us. Because we have people all around the world that's on our programs, and we can't go to them, and they can't come to us. So we have a 2-week program, a 4-week program, a 8-week program, and what we call the Life Path, which is a 4-month program. We also have a 9-month program for women who wish to be with us through their term of pregnancy. But we do it by way right now of the Internet, which we find is very good. And depending on how serious your problem is, we would then give you the advice and how much resources you have to put in or invest in your upliftment. We would then work with you and teach you what you need to do to never have to go and see a doctor, unless, of course, God forbid, there's an accident or something, then, of course, you would want to go to what they do best, and that is to patch people up. But as far as healing is concerned, we deal with teaching that person how to heal. No longer are we going to make you dependent, or should you be dependent on anyone for your own well-being. You are the one that is walking around. You are the driver of your own biological vehicle, so you should know the instrument that you are in this time, and that's what we're here to do, teach you that.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you, caller. Area code 804. Area code 804.
Hello.